Hello everyone, Comic Novice here, and in this video I'm going to be discussing and reviewing Trial of the Amazons, issue number 1. Now, please stay tuned for up-and-coming videos where I'm going to be going over the rest of the issues in the 7-part series, but I feel as though this first issue is very important to stand alone and discuss it at length. It should be noted, though, before I start this review, that there are many creators that have worked together to create this 7-part series. We have Williams and Ayala, who wrote the 6-part Nubia series, which I only bought issue number 6 because it was part of this Trial of the Amazon series, as well as I believe they did the backup stories that featured in some of the Wonder Woman main title, which I skipped because they were massively wordy. I know Joel Jones did the Wonder Girl series that started off in the future state and then, of course, went up to issue number 7 until it got canceled, and then they have a annual coming out. So maybe it's on hiatus for just a little bit. And then, of course, the Clunan and Conrad team that are working on the main Wonder Woman title that, at least in my opinion, has been a little bit more down than up since they took over. However, I am approaching this series with an open mind, and I look forward to reading a Wonder Woman event in full. Maybe even going and reading George Perez's Wonder Woman event because my DC Infinite app is recommending me to do so. One of the first struggles I came across with this issue number 1 is the continual art changing throughout this issue. And I'm guessing they're either demonstrating or highlighting each artist that worked on each book, of the main Wonder Woman title, the Nubia and the Amazons, and of course the Wonder Girl. But I feel as though when you flip it from page to page, just how jarring it is and has been, at least to me as I've read this mini event series, going from one kind of art to another kind of art. And you can definitely tell when a different writer has taken over, because you go to some great art with direct dialogue to good art with word bubbles that are coming out of the wazoo. Now, I've read some similar mini events. The previous one that I've done is the War for Earth 3. And similarly to this, they've had different artists in the War for Earth 3. However, I did not find the constant changing of artists from page to page to be a distraction. Maybe it's because they either have the very similar style. I've heard that there's a DC house style. I don't know what that means, but I've heard that. And if that is so, props to them for, having people who work well together. Because I just don't feel as though that this is very cohesive, in my opinion. Secondly, I think that I struggled with this first issue because of the lack of references or notations to previous stories in the Wonder Woman line, that are out as of within the past couple of months. As the book starts out, we have the expectation that we've been reading the main Wonder Woman line, since Clunan and Conrad have taken over, because it references Princess Diana's back. Back from where? I know because of issue 780 that she is back from the dead. However, where's she back from? From her trip from, Atlantis? There's a lot that is not explained there. Also, you have this mantle passing in Infinite Frontier issue number 0, where Queen Hippolyta stepped down and gave the queendom of the Themyscira to, Nubia, and she was now the queen of the Amazons. That was never really discussed. So again, if you are new, just jumping on right here, you don't know what is going on. It's just expected that you've been following along the entire time. And then, of course, there is Yara Flor, who is, was very, she almost had a WB series for 1 second, and then she didn't because she was so popular. And then stuff happened, and now she's popular, but DC dropped the ball or something like that, and paper shortage, and and then her line got canceled. And if you're keeping track of what's happening to Nubia, the new Wonder Girl, and her book, it's really difficult. Anyway, that being said, let's start off with Trial of the Amazons, issue number 1. Now, as we get to page 1, and again, I've talked about it briefly, where they gloss over so many other things. We have Nubia discussing and saying she believes what happened with Medusa is a direct result. Again, here is another reference where there is no notation. I know that Medusa was part of a storyline, not because I read any other issue of Nubia and the Amazons, but because I know that Medusa was featured on the cover of issue number 5 of Nubia and the Amazons. So now I'd like some further explaining, and there is no citation. And if I didn't know that, whatever. I'm not going to go by it. I feel as though that they should have given me better explanation, and they did not. All right, so then we have a 2-page spread that attacks the reader with word bubbles as the Bana Migdal refuses to surrender. I think that's how it's pronounced. As it was surrender weapons in order to step through this portal to get to Themyscira. And it went on for a while. So again, this is called Trial of the Amazons. Maybe this is part of the trial. After paragraphs of word bubbles, we finally get a citation that encourages us, there we go, to read Wonder Woman issues 781 to 784 for better reference. So that's cool. We just need to read 4 books to catch a reference. All right. Wish they would have just, instead of all those other previous word bubbles, that, they could have summed up some of that stuff. But anyway, that's just my nitpick right there. So Yara Flora makes her grand entrance on the Themyscira, riding on the back of her Pegasus, and the people, I don't know how. I've listened to Google translate that word many times. I'm still not going to get it right. It's there on the screen, whatever. That is her tribe. I believe it stands for forgotten in Brazil, or in Portuguese or whatever. And so Wonder Girl, Donna Troy make their arrival as well too. Then we get many more death by word bubble pages with Diana talking to Nubia, then Faruka, who is the Bana Magdala's leader, queen, whatever. And at this moment, we are at the halfway point of the oversized issue, and yet there's no contest, no trial. I guess the only trial is trial by word bubbles. Eventually, though, we do get the Faruka demanding for competitors to not only fight for the role of the champion, but for their queen's right to rule all Amazons. And so, you have this situation where Nubia is basically almost going to be forced to possibly step down if she and her people from the Themyscira lose this challenge. And, who knows? It could be the Brazilian tribe. It could be the Bana Magdala's tribe that takes over as queen. And then after many more pages of pain and suffering, reading, we finally get to the second to last page to discover that not only has no trial occurred, not only has a poor innocent tree been murdered for the printing of this book, but Queen Hippolyta has been murdered too. So with that, we are left with this final image of Queen Hippolyta being pronounced dead. And I will tell you, again, I went into this hoping to really liking this. The main Wonder Woman series has been such a letdown since we had Mariko Tamaki leave and turning over to Clunan and Conrad. I've not been intrigued with the Williams duo that has been doing the backup stories, and I have enjoyed the Joelle Jones Wonder Girl storyline. However, I feel as though it's drawn out, and not only is it drawn out in series, but also in time because of paper shortages and whatnot. It has failed to meet expectations in purchasing time. So with that, it's really hard to be optimistic about the rest of this just based on issue number 1. I am a comic novice, and so I am going to look at what some people have said in various communities. So I'm going to go to the comic geek community, and I am going to find out what the thoughts are of comic book fans who have been reading Trial of the Amazons, because maybe it's just my novice approach, maybe it's my novice knowledge that is stunting my thorough enjoyment. But I'm going to find a couple of people that, all right. So it says, it's a shame. Expectable considering the names involved, which are absolutely the worst in DC landscape outside of Jones, despite the incident. What incident? But again, expectable. This book was doomed from the start for a short time frame, if for such an event, to the absolute lack of any writing talents on it. Clunrad, Becky Clune and Conrad, got it, is the worst writer duo in DC currently, and the rest are almost okay. So we got a 2 out of 5 stars. Spoilers, proceed at your own risk. Okay, so this one says 5 writers and 4 artists are unable to do what Wonder Woman legends like George Perez, Phil Jimenez, Gail Simone done themselves. While Perez and Jimenez both writing and drawing their respective runs is quite funny considering how much DC editorial are behind Wonder Woman books these days. Turning a great tournament promise into murder mystery is not the smartest move as possible. Okay, and it continues. All right, so this one, who has 4 out of 5 stars, says the dialogue was kind of off. Something was off in this issue. I think they could have skipped a lot of stuff. I agree there. Felt like extra things were added, but regardless of the art is 10 out of 10, and the panels where Yara says, "So glad you asked me, let's introduce you." Now, that is 10 out of 10 panel. I need to find a wallpaper. So they like that, but they like the art, and they like Yara Flora, and that's why they have 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think that is a good... Anyway, I guess if you don't have anything nice to say, find the positive. Everyone talking typical Amazonian politics. Yara Flora, ah la 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 la. Excellent. Well, I have to say I'm a bit disappointed, says another one. All right, so we have a lot of those. I'm going to go to the Comixology or Amazon to find out Trial of the Amazons, find out what people think of that right there. Again, perhaps these are more seasoned readers than me. All right, so we have 97 people rating it, 58% 5 stars. There's only, how many reviews? People? Like 2 reviews out of 58 people who... So this is one thing I like about the new Comixology. One of the probably few things I can say about the new Comixology on Amazon is at least people have the opportunity to not only give it stars, but to also rate it and review it on here. So we have, while I appreciate a good mystery, this part 1 of the storyline feels long-winded. Basically, it brings back a number of established characters in the Amazonian world and introduces a new tribe to compete for 2 jobs, one of them queen. Unfortunately, the competition begins, misfortune occurs, this reason, and the mystery I will read on. So even though they gave it 3 out of 5 stars, they will read on. This one, just awful and predictable writing. Sorry, this is a work to be avoided. Shrug. Well, at least she's what... Anyway, so I guess in conclusion, me and the comic readers do see eye to eye with this. This issue number 1 has been a complete disappointment, and I am intrigued and will continue on looking at the rest of the 6-part in the Trial of the Amazons. I mean, I own them, so it'd be just wasteful of me to just do nothing or light them on fire. Anyway, thanks for listening and downloading this video. Subscribe if you'd like, whatever. Comment, what are your thoughts of Trial of the Amazons? I know I did not go into massive depth. I did want to talk about it and review it. Give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, whatever. Stay tuned for up and coming videos. And yeah, until next time.